partner any less just because they don't have
No,
children.
but that is their choice, not to have
They
children.
might not have. They might not be able
Hold on,
to.
hold
They
on.
might not be able to.
Okay. What's your name?
James.
James, calm down. Let's have a normal discussion instead of shouting because it's not productive. What I'm saying is that when two people of opposite gender get married, they have the option to have children.
Not necessarily.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay, can I finish? They have the option unless you're talking about an anomaly where there is some medical reason they can't. That is an exception to the rule, not the rule. But generally speaking, people get married not only for lust, not only just because they love each other or that is the reason. There's many factors involved in that. Because when you get married not only to one person, you basically bring another relationship, a whole family of the other person into the equation. So there are many factors in marriage. Okay, it's not just for lust. Okay, not just for sex either, and not just for children either. So these things are part and parcel of a marriage. Okay, but when you have the same-sex marriage, what is the main reason?
It's the connection.
Well, you can't have children for sure, so we can't use that as an option.
Straight people can't have children. That doesn't mean they love their partner any less.
Once again, you're using an example of.
Yeah, but I'm disproving it because if you're in a straight relationship and you can't have a kid, does that mean you love your wife less?
Okay, can I?
No, answer it. Answer the question.
But I will if you keep quiet. Calm down. In fact, I've already answered it, but you were not listening. What did I say earlier? I said there are certain exceptions where they can't have children because of medical reasons. Wait. I've already answered your question, but you were not listening. So listen once again. An exception where there is a medical condition for a couple not to have children, it is an exception, not the rule. A rule is not based on exceptions. Now, if they had a reason, like a medical reason, because of which they cannot, so it's not their choice anymore. It is nature, because of the natural, inability to have children, it is not in their control. But when two people who are married and who have a normal, physiology, then they are able to have children, is it not? But they can choose. They can either choose to have, I know many people who are married, opposite genders. One of my managers whom I used to work with, he chose not to have children. Yeah. So I told him, okay, what's going to happen when you are going to get old? Yes. Then he really didn't have an answer. Because children normally, especially in Islam, we believe that one of the main reasons that to create harmony between the parent and the child is that the children respect the parents, and the parents in turn respect the children. And the parents are actually, once they grow older, the Quran says that do not neglect your parents. You should take care of them. In fact, one of the passages in the Quran, Allah says, obey Allah, and then He talks about the rights of the parents, right next to it. Okay? So for us, this relationship between children and parents is very important. So those same-sex people, couples, they themselves had heterosexual parents. That's the reason they are in this world. Okay? Now, it is a choice, by the way. It is that choice. It is not because they choose not to have babies. It is by choice they actually choose to have a same sex, but there is no option at all to have children.
Yes.
So what they do, they crave children when they grow older. And then they adopt children of heterosexual people.
They don't want them.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Why they?
There are, by the way, I do agree with you. There are certain people who are irresponsible and who, after having children, they don't want to have the responsibility. And this, again, in Islam is forbidden. Once you have children, then you're. In fact, even if you are a disabled child, you're obliged to take care of the child. For us, even I don't know what your views are with regards to terminating pregnancy. Abortion. Yeah. What's your view with regards to that? You support abortion as well?
Yes.
What about the right of the child in that case?
Their child. It's not a child.
Say again?
It's a
Okay, what date?
It's a collection of
Why?
cells.
Because that's my natural instinct. I'm gonna put.
But the child never had a say in this matter.
Child.
Okay, so whose fault was it? The child's or the parents?
It's nobody's fault if it's an accident.
No. If it is an accident.
If it's an accident.
Wait. When you say an accident, what does that mean? That means you took preventive measures and then you got pregnant. Is that what you're saying? Because to me that is an accident.
That's one.
Yeah. Okay. That I agree. When you have taken measures not to get pregnant and then you get pregnant, then I agree that is an accident. But today we have like 200,000 abortions a month in this country. A month or a year, forgot what it was. But what it is, like, there's a huge proportion. I think it's a year. Sorry. It's a year. In a year, you have 200,000 abortions. That's a huge number. And I don't think all those are damaged condoms.
No, but,
Okay.
but you shouldn't saddle a woman with a child.
No,
like
no,
that.
wait. When you say saddle, the minute two of them tangoed together, yes, they already took the responsibility, or becoming irresponsible.
With that. I feel like if you have sex
but you're-
without a condom, you should be willing
Yes,
to.
but if you're 15 years old, you don't necessarily know what you're doing. You're irresponsible.
Then don't have sex then if you're not responsible.
15-year-olds
Simple as that.
they've always had sex. They're always going to have sex.
No, but if you have sex, then you know the consequences
Not
of
as a
that.
15-year-old. Did you know what?
Wait.
Did
You know 15-year-olds are quite clever. Don't underestimate them.
Not all of them, though. They
No. I agree.
Did you-
Not all 15-year-olds just play Xbox and Game Boys or whatever it is. They are quite responsible for many things. You know that in certain countries, 15-year-olds, they run the family.
Yes.
Okay?
But in this country, they're not. Our culture.
But they're not stupid in this country
Our
either.
country doesn't raise 15-year-olds to be that.
Why not? They should.
Well,
Why
we
not?
We probably should be more mature.
Yeah. Go on.
In some
You can come in.
Like my friend grew up in a Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
She has been taught that the best way of having sex is having no sex.
Prevention.
So then
Yeah.
when they have sex, they don't know what a condom is. She's 18 and she doesn't know what a condom is.
Okay. So listen, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice.
They're not allowed. They can't.
What, internet?
All the links are blocked.
Oh, do they not have internet at home? Come on.
No, they don't. Well,
You're telling me Catholics don't have internet at home?
they're kids.
I don't know which country you're living in.
No.
But in this country, everyone has internet as far as I know. The reason, look,
websites are
no,
blocked.
lady, trust me. Anyone who doesn't have,
I know my friend.
so your friends don't have internet at home.
They have internet. All of their websites are blocked.
What?
Any information.
Who blocks it?
Parents,
Their
like
Their
parental restrictions.
send
You can have
them to
parental
a-
Okay,
restrictions on stuff.
so are you telling me that Catholics don't know that when they have sex, they can get pregnant?
They do, but they.
They know that, but they don't know how to prevent
Do
it.
they not see outside that they sell condoms?
You can't,
You're not living, even in a third world country, they know what condoms are. So if anybody tells me in this day and age, yes, in a country like England, yes, children young, like 15 years old, don't know what condoms are, I think that is BS. Okay? With all due respect. So anyway, going back to the responsibility, why do you say the parents don't have a responsibility? When they get pregnant, then they are responsible as soon as, yes.
You know what's interesting? When it comes to sex, a 15-year-old child or the 15-year-old child doesn't know. But if that same 15-year-old child was driving and runs over someone, no one's going to say, oh, it's okay, he's young, he
Well, they
doesn't
do.
know.
That's literally what young offender prisons are for. You go and you go rehab, or you go do that. That's the whole point, because you're not.
So
you're
they
not
are
charged as an
accountable.
adult. You're not charged as an adult because they
You've proven
recognise
my
that
point.
No, but they are still
You've proven my
accountable.
point.
they're held to account to an extent.
Yeah, I
But
know,
they are
but they are
held to
accountable.
account.
That's the thing.
You don't say he's just 15, just leave him. A 15-year-old child, let's go less, 13-year-old child, drinks
killing
and
a
stabs
human
somebody
being.
or does something.
This is like the
they are
legal
still
side,
held
isn't it?
accountable. Nobody says, oh, they didn't know, it's okay. So similarly, if a 15-year-old now decides to have sex, why is there a double standard there?
Because you shouldn't have to ruin your life just because you made one bad.
What do you mean ruin the life? What about ruining the life of the baby that you're killing?
It's not a baby yet, though. It's a bunch of cells.
Ask the mother, she will always say my baby, unlike you. Okay, so trust me, when your mom was pregnant with you, I'm pretty sure while you were still a fetus, she called you my baby.
It's an idea, though. It's not a physical thing. It's
I
an
know,
idea of-
but that is the thing about emotions.
You know
It is
when
an
you
idea.
start trivializing
Exactly.
life, oh,
it's
this
not
is,
life, though.
To your mother, it was.
It is life.
It's the potential for life.
It's a human being.
Exactly.
It's the potential.
When
She was responsible.
Scientifically, when the egg and the sperm, they fertilize and that process happens, scientifically, it's now, the process has started. So let's stick with science, because if we start trivializing life, oh, that's an ant, oh, that's an amoeba, oh, that's that, then you know what? Then it starts, escalating, and then you start dehumanizing human beings. Oh, we can invade that country because those people are doing this or doing that. A life is a life, and we should be consistent when it comes to morality. A child is a
But
child,
it's not a child yet.
but that's what I'm saying.
Okay, when is it going to be
Scientifically,
charged?
Well, in this country, it's 24 weeks, isn't it? There's a legal definition for when they are a child.
Have you ever seen an abortion in your life?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, maybe you should. You'll change your mind.
I won't change
When you have someone who is like a few weeks old, maybe even 12 weeks old, and they look like a fully formed baby with limbs, with a face, yes, with a heart beating, and they pluck them limb by limb, then you'll change your mind. Because what you're doing now, the reason you're trivializing it is because you haven't come across it. When you actually face it, then you'll actually have tears in your eye. Trust me, you will.
It's
A baby being plucked limb by limb. That is what abortion is, my friend.
Majority of the people doing abortions, in your understanding and from what you've heard, why do majority of the people do abortions? Majority.
Because they want to look after the child. They can't look after the child.
Right, because of...
Situations, economic, social.
But we live in a country in which that's
Exactly.
not a good enough reason.
Why?
Because
You
there's
still
child
have to
support,
You still have to
universal
look after
credit.
the child, though. You can't go to school. You can't go to university. Your whole life is ruined because of one time.
Because of one what?
But in this
Because of one irresponsible behavior from the parents. You cannot blame the child for that, my friend. That's all I'm saying. A child...
But you're blaming a child.
No, wait.
You're blaming a child.
How?
If they're 13, you're blaming a child.
For what?
For getting pregnant in the first place.
Well, they knew the repercussions of that. They knew exactly what was going to happen if they got
Not
pregnant.
exactly. It's not certain, though.
It is pretty certain. In this country it is. I don't know which country you guys are from, but in this country a 13-year-old knows what sex is, what the consequences of that are, and they even know how to prevent it. So don't tell me in this country they don't. There's a lot of support system they have put. The NHS has put. Okay, so you cannot say they don't have a choice. They do have a choice. They have options. Now if you're going to blame, if you're going to blame everything on the child, then why the adults are not being blamed? That's the
Can I
question.
ask, have both of you got parents?
Of course. Where do you think they came from?
No, but who live with you and like you're not grown up in foster home.
Yeah, we are not.
So then how can you say a foster home is a good enough life if you haven't experienced it?
No one is saying it's good enough, but it's better than death.
Than death. I mean, come on, you can't
Come
compare
on.
the two.
Exactly. One is pulling limb by limb in your mother's womb.
You know that's
Yes.
not actually, have you seen an abortion?
I have actually.
That's not how an abortion
Have you
works.
seen an abortion?
Yes.
How does it happen?
Because they take a pill. I don't know what,
There's
what year
there's
you
a
watched
surgical
it.
abortion.
No. Pill is
There's
only
surgical.
Pill can only work up to a certain number of
have
weeks.
surgical abortion.
After that, you only have one option, which is surgical.
Because of the size.
That's why you haven't seen it from and by the way, no, 24 weeks is a lot of time. Yeah, 24 weeks is a lot of time. So if anyone goes up to that what do you say, the borderline, when it becomes illegal to have an abortion, then I think they probably are living in some, I don't know, out of reality. They're not in touch with the reality. But if you look at the baby as it's developing in the mother's womb at a very young age, yes, when you would still call it fetus and I would call it baby, yes, the heart is beating at a very young age. Yes,
They're not conscious of
I think just a couple of weeks the heart starts
They're
beating.
not conscious, though.
Define consciousness.
They're not experiencing. There is no world. They're existing purely within the womb. Because you're saying
Is that your definition?
you're saying an ended life is
So-
worse
so baby-
than a bad life. But
so-
they have no life. It's surely no life is better than a bad life.
Firstly, you said consciousness. Our understanding of consciousness is very minimal. We say 24 weeks. Science is constantly understanding more and more and more. For us to pin something and say, no, this is exactly when the child is alive, therefore we can do that, I would even say maybe 10 years down the line, science may advance. For us to rely and put our entire morality on the current scientific understanding, do you think that's sensible?
It's not just a moral point.
Do you think that's sensible?
It's not just a moral point. It's practical, though. You have to be it's been proven.
James, if you want to be practical, then we say that at fertilization, when copulation has happened and the person is pregnant, a life is a life. If you want to be pragmatic, you want to keep flat. If you then want to go to weeks, you have to resort to science. That's what you said. You said 24 weeks.
I'm saying
from the science.
if it's going to cause a worse outcome, if I told you this person's going to be miserable for their entire life, it's going to ruin the parent's life, it's going to ruin the child's life. Is that a beneficial outcome?
Yeah, but like you said,
When you start killing people
there is
because
social
of their
network here.
emotions, that's a problem.
They're not people. It doesn't exist. It's not.
There's a network in this country.
It has no choice. When you're an adult, you have a choice. It's not a thing. It's just a bunch of.
You actually made a good point. You said, what if the person's going to be miserable for their whole life? We know cognitively, no one stays miserable for their whole life.
Yeah.
So initially, when a child is born, they may feel miserable. However, with that new life, when a connection develops, then obviously the relationship, the feelings will change. And what we're trying to tell you is from a Muslim paradigm, from an Islamic paradigm. And we say that because God has created us, He has the picture, we have the pixel. He has the bigger picture. As human beings, we have a smaller understanding, and I'm sure, do you guys subscribe to the liberal mindset?
I would describe myself as liberal.
Moral-wise, mostly, yeah?
Morally liberal. I don't include religion in my morality.
Okay, yeah, so liberalism doesn't.
Agnostic? Are you?
Pardon?
Are you agnostic?
I think there's spirituality. I don't think you need to quantify it into a god.
What about you?
I'm atheist.
Okay.
So what's the reason? Like, because atheist is somebody that's certain that there's no God.
I have grown up in a religious household and I hated it. I hated what it did to people. I think there are too many people who use religion as an excuse to do bad and ruin religion for everyone else for it to possibly be good.
Do you mind if I ask which religion your parents are?
Hindu.
Hindu? So what is it in Hinduism that ruined people's life?
Caste.
Caste system? Okay, fair enough.
You know, that's the problem of evil. It's actually quite common, but I'm sure you'll agree that their being evil or their being bad people doesn't disprove God logically.
It doesn't disprove God, but it's not a God I want to believe in.
What if atheists do something similar to what the religious people do? Then what do you do?
But then atheist isn't a religion.
Exactly.
So it's
But there's an
them
ideology.
themselves doing it.
Yeah, but if you're going to subscribe to an ideology, and that ideology does the same thing,
It's an absence of ideology.
It does,
Atheism
there is-
no, really.
It is.
Because it has a
There's
definition.
nothing there. It's an
No, no,
absence.
no.
It's literally an
As-
absence.
No, you're talking about the creator being nothingness, but in terms of ideology, it's more like liberalism, secularism, where there's a no harm principle, where they say as long as you don't harm someone, you can live freely as you wish. But you see, in every society, there is limits. Like, for example, in this country, you cannot become an anti-Semite and get away with it. So, okay, so you don't have that liberty wherever you go, even though you assume that atheism gives you or liberalism gives you that freedom. But in reality, every single ideology, whichever it is, has certain limits.
How does atheism restrict your life in any way? How does it affect? If you're an atheist for a day, how is that going to change? Like, it's obviously going to lose stuff because you're not going to pray. But how does it actually affect you? Like, when are you going to think I'm an atheist? I'm going to act differently in this situation.
In terms of morality.
Yeah.
Because in morality,
Objective morality, yeah.
An atheist can't prove if X thing is right or wrong.
But it's
You
right or wrong
can't
to
prove
me.
anything.
But do you see?
You're saying it's
Do you
right
see
or
what
wrong because I believe in a God. I have that backing me. I have God backing me. I have myself backing me. What's the difference?
That's more.
So it comes down to subjectivism, isn't
Yeah.
it? So subjectivism, I'm sure you'll agree, can't be proved. So you
Neither can be proved, but at least you know.
You see?
I know myself.
That's fine. Look, what I'm saying is, for you to prove something that this is right or wrong, you have to, by definition, prove it objectively. For you to say,
So we are looking for objective
There is
morals.
no right and wrong.
No, we are looking. Look.
But
that's
there
no,
are
that-
no
limiting
objective
yourself.
morals.
If I come,
Okay,
and I say-
one
and I
sec,
say,
one
look,
sec.
I've hurt
Yeah.
Hashim, and you go, man, I'm like, bro, but look, I've hurt him, and he's like, yeah, can you call the police? Is that bad though? You're limiting yourself.
But society gets together and agrees what's right and wrong. That's the whole point.
No, but
James,
hold on.
you
No.
are-
You know there are certain things which every society will agree. If I asked you, do you know any society which agrees with rape?
Yes.
Yes.
Which?
Middle Eastern.
What? Rape?
Agrees with rape.
Where did you? Which Middle Eastern country have you been to? Have you been to Iran?
You're from Iran.
Have you been to Iran? Do you know the punishment for rape is in Iran? You don't have it in India. Trust me.
It's, I
So-
think it's the difference between the culture of the religion
No.
and the culture of the people.
No, it's not culture. I'm talking about religion. That's the reason I asked you specifically
Religion is a culture. Religion is a culture.
which ideology or religion has agreed with rape.
Oh, I misheard you.
Okay, so anyone who says that rape is okay, I don't think there's any such, even in the past and the present, and I very much doubt in the future rape will become okay.
Well, we were talking to a guy earlier who was
Well, he's probably not right in the head. Then.
well, he was a Christian.
It doesn't matter. Oh, he agreed with rape.
Yeah, he said
Seriously?
you said it was good.
What was the context?
Women are property.
Well, you know, in this
It was
country,
nice to hear.
you know, in this country, the women were property 150 years ago.
That's what we were. That's what we were arguing. He was saying that, for instance, Muslims are coming over with what in this country would be seen as backwards views. And he was saying that Christians don't believe that. But I was saying, like, it's not Muslims rape. It's men are raped.
Exactly. Yeah.
And women.
He was talking about the rape.
And the punishment for rape is the most severe in Islam, trust me. Okay, it's one of the most severe punishments in Islam and also in Judaism and also in the Old Testament times when the Christians used to believe in that as well. But what I'm saying here is that there are objective truths, you cannot deny that. So when you say there's no truth and falsehood, I doubt very much that is the case. There are things which are objectively true and which are objectively
Science.
false. Not necessarily. Even science is not written on stones.
Gravity.
No, of course, there are things in science which are observable, and these things are true. But I'm not saying everything in science.
No, that's theoretical.
Yeah, exactly.
That's theoretical.
Exactly. So science is not written on stone. Okay, there are things. As soon as they find new data, they can change the postulation quite easily. Okay, so sorry, I lost.
So in terms of theology, a person that's an atheist will tend to be a liberal. They'll tend to be a capitalist. They'll tend to be a nihilist. For example, if I was to ask you now, can you prove to me that a neurosurgeon who spends his days, healing people and performing really intrusive surgery is superior to somebody who just sits at home making circles all day?
I personally don't think he is.
That he is superior.
I don't.
So you think somebody who makes circles all day is the same as a neurosurgeon?
They deserve the same rights. They deserve an equal life.
You don't think one is better?
No. I think one might be cleverer and smarter, but I don't think...
Are you talking in terms of value as a human? That's what you're saying, right? You're talking about in terms of value as a human. Is that what you're referring to? Because to the society,
I think
to the society,
neurosurgeon
exactly,
much,
exactly.
much
So when you have a
But
child
that doesn't mean that
who has a
the
disease,
circle guy means less.
when you have a child who requires a neurosurgeon, you will not look for a guy drawing circles. You'll go look for a guy who is going to help you,
But that doesn't
who's
mean you can
qualified.
kill the guy who
No, I'm not saying. He asked you about the value. Are the same? They're not the same, obviously.
He said which one's better.
Yeah, in terms of moral superiority.
Yeah.
If a person is performing brain intrusive surgery and somebody's just making circles all day, I, as a believer in God, I can say that a person who's performing surgery, that person is morally better than somebody that's not doing that. You see? So you were saying, how does that limit me as an atheist? I would say that's how it limits you. If something happens in front of you, a crime, you guys are talking about rape. If something like that is happening in front of you, you can't as an atheist go, that's wrong.
You can.
I do.
How?
No, that's your opinion. It's purely your opinion. It's your opinion, and that's the only thing you can really know. You think there's Allah up there. But that's you don't know. You don't know. The only thing you know is you think. I think therefore I am. Descartes. I think the only thing you know is what you're thinking in this current moment. That's the only thing you know.
I think therefore I am.
Yes.
Is that what you're predicating?
No, but I'm saying that's the only thing that you can actually know, and that is what atheism is. Atheism, the only thing you know is what you're thinking. The only thing in this
I have water.
is what you're thinking, and so that means that you're not restricted. You know your opinion, and that's right. Right and wrong is purely determined by what you think.
Do you agree with that as well? That the foundation is I think, therefore I am.
It just means you're conscious. That's all it means.
But I mean, that's
You
what
disagree with that, yeah?
Like it's an absence.
What's your reason for
absence of
disagreement?
ideology. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
Consciousness.
there are loads
Right.
of
That's what Descartes was talking
people
about.
Yeah.
who think
Yeah, you're conscious, but
don't really
it's not.
exist.
Your consciousness isn't
I
being
feel like
influenced by anything.
existing
It's an absolute
in
removal of
this
influence.
world is
It can be
different
influenced
to
by your
having a
friends,
soul.
by the society.
But then
What are you studying at university? What are you studying at university?
I'm saying it's a pure.
Sorry, I don't want to
Philosophy,
have a
politics,
cross
and
discussion.
economics.
All right, say no more. Say no more.
Sorry, what was
Then
that?
you're going to understand my response to him then.
Okay, go on.
So you said, I think, therefore I am.
Yes.
Yeah, that's been refuted by many contemporaries of Descartes himself. For example, I think, therefore I am is predicated on I. Nietzsche said, how can you even assume that there is an I to begin with?
Because you know.
No. Because you're saying, merely thinking, that's the foundation of everything. Nietzsche said, if you're saying that's the foundation and the statement is, I think, therefore I am, I, again, is an identity, is a being, so that's false. Wittgenstein then said, how is that person even conceptualizing that statement? Because that statement is predicated on language. So that's why I'm saying that if you constantly keep going down, what you can do is, and this is what philosophers go down to, is called a necessary being. Because otherwise you're going to be stuck in an infinite regress. This is dependent on this is dependent on this. So I will actually give you a lifeline, and the lifeline is existence. This is what Avicenna said, that the most foundational thing that we have to exist, that we have to agree even when we're interfacing and talking here, is that we have to agree and accept that we exist.
They're the basic principles.
Yeah, so you accept that we exist, isn't it?
Well, there's conspiracy theories about.
James, I'm asking your theory.
Well,
Are you in touch with your reality? That's the
yeah,
question.
no, it's simple as the simulation theory, which.
Exactly. I know
Yeah.
what you were thinking.
Yeah.
That's
You've
why I asked you. Are you
been
in touch
watching
with
too
your
much
reality?
Black Mirror.
Maybe a bit of Truman Show.
Okay, I like
Not in the
that.
Matrix, are you?
Yeah, but no, but I think
You exist.
largely I accept that. Yeah, you are.
You exist as well, yeah? Do I exist?
I think you. Yes.
Okay,
But
good.
isn't existence, again, is predicated to your consciousness?
Yeah.
You need to be conscious for you to even say, I exist.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So I think consciousness truly plays an important role as well.
Yeah, that's why they call it the hard problem of consciousness. Do you believe that there is order, some order in the world that we live in? Yes?
Limited, but yes.
Yes. Then, if we use logical reasoning, there is existence, there is order. Therefore, there is existence to explain that order. Do you have any issue with that line of reasoning?
Explain it a bit more.
So there is existence,
Yeah.
fundamentally.
Yeah.
There is order.
Yeah.
So that order,
Some order.
yeah. So that order has to be predicated on an existence.
It's interactions between people existing that creates the order.
Yeah, because I'm linking it to the fact that there can't be an infinite regress of dependent things. There has to be a necessary being. Like, was it Aristotle who called it the prime mover?
Yeah.
Yeah, the prime mover, yeah? So what do you think about the prime mover argument? So that's like if you're dependent on X dependent on Y is dependent on Z, and it keeps going, yeah? There has to be an end to that chain.
And the end to the chain is God.
No, the end to that chain is a necessary being, according to the philosophy that you're studying as well. To Leibniz, Descartes, all of these guys,
But
yeah.
for you guys, it's God, right?
But for us,
Is
what
that-
we'll say is that, and you're welcome to challenge this, and the Quran gives a 4-line criteria. And in fact, I would say this is special and unique to Islam, and you're more than welcome to disprove it here and now. Yeah? And Christianity doesn't have it, Hinduism doesn't have it, Sikhism doesn't have it. We have a 4-line pH test of God. It's towards the end. Yeah? He is one. Like that necessary being is one.
It uses he.
Yeah, he is like
For them, it's opposite.
That's your quantification.
no, there's no he, there's no she. It's used as a
So God is gender neutral.
Gender neutral.
But in Arabic, the default position is a he.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's
like-
no it in Arabic.
It's like when a royal pass says we. There's no 3 queens walking around. It's like the royal we. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is oneness to you?
One means a single entity,
Non-divisible.
and it's going to explain itself. He is one. The independent does not beget, nor is he begotten. Yeah, he doesn't give birth, nor was he given birth to, and there is none like him. That's our criteria for God.
Okay.
Not a human being, not a thing, not an object, not an idol, because even logically, an idol, if a fly comes and sits on it, the idol relies on you to remove the fly. The idol relies on you to put a garland around it. The idol relies on you to clean it. If somebody comes and elbows it, it's broken. It's finished. Human being, Jesus. He came, he had to obviously eat. What goes in must come out. Yeah? So it's not befitting of God to be sitting on the toilet, to be weak, to be put on the cross, to be ridiculed, to be sworn at, and to be put in a weak position. Does that make sense to you so far?
To our children.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. So you're more than welcome to critique any of this, because the Islamic position of God, that's why Islam is the fastest growing religion, because you can explain it to a 5-year-old, you can explain it to a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 50-year-old. Yeah, it's innate. In fact, Justin Barrett of University of Oxford, he said our belief in God is actually innate. Olivera Petrovich said the same thing as well. You can check these peer-reviewed journals. Yeah, that we're born with the inclination towards God. Yeah, to believing in God. Yeah, go
Well, I
on.
would just say to that you're born in an ape. We want to understand. We want to understand. You're saying that's God. You're saying your understanding is God. I don't think you're innate to God. You're innate to understand. We're naturally inquisitive. We want to understand. That's why we have society. That's why we have buses. That cameras. Any of this stuff. That's only because we're inquisitive. That's because we want to understand. We want to better. That doesn't equal